this was a common homework question from section 9.2. It was when we first started learning how to do a hypothesis test for proportions. Question number 41 says, a test of H naught, where P equals 0.5, versus HA, P is greater than 0.5, based on a sample size of 200, yields a standardized test statistic Z equals 2.19. Assume the conditions for performing inference are met. Find and interpret the p-value. Okay, so there's some important things to note. One that I noticed right away, assume that the conditions for performing inference are met. That is like your time saver on the AP test. If they say that, which they do sometimes, you don't actually have to check all the conditions. You can just jump straight into the calculation part. So it said find and interpret the p-value. Notice that even though I don't know what p hat is, I do know what the test statistic is. I know what Z is. And so please let us not forget that a p-value is basically the area under the normal curve. So I'm going to do normal CDF. So I'm going to go here and normal CDF. Because I'm sticking with a Z-score, my mean and standard deviation are going to be 0 and 1. This Z-score is above 0, and also my alternative hypothesis is that it's greater than, so I know that this is a greater than question. Basically, this is asking me, doing a really rough sketch here, to do this. All right, so it's a really rough sketch, but that's basically what I'm finding. So in the calculator, I have my lower bound is 2.19. My upper bound is infinity because it was a greater than question. My mean and standard deviation are 0 and 1 because it is a Z-score, and that is the mean and standard deviation of all Z-scores. So my p-value is right here, 0.014, or you could say 0.0143. And then it does ask us to interpret it, and so I'm going to type this because it's a script. And our script tells us, assuming H naught is true, and then we're going to put what that is in parentheses. We have, or we can say there is a 1.43% probability. You can leave it as a decimal or you can write it as a percent of getting a test statistic of 2.19 or greater purely by chance. That's just me kind of filling in the script for a p-value. B says, what conclusion can you make at the 0.01 significance level? So 1.43% is actually greater than 0.01, a little bit greater. So I'm going to say I'm going to go ahead and say like the full conclusion. Because 0.0143 is greater than 0.01, we fail to reject H naught. We do not have convincing evidence that we don't really have a lot of context here, so I'm just going to put the alternative hypothesis into words, that the true proportion is greater than 0.5.